Okay, Sue Ortiz here. We're on part 3. We left off where the employees don't know nothing at this point. I don't know nothing. I didn't see nothing. I don't know nothing. But Buster's death is only one among a handful that raise serious questions about Byron's management culture. Again, hopefully you found this link. Share it. Remember, this is not reported in the States. This was reported last year. I've come very late to the little Byron game, but I'm here now. Operator Mike Childers, I'm going to say Childers, was supervising a trainee when she made a minor mistake in the control room. No harm done, but paperwork associated with the mistake went missing. Management blamed Childers. He was allegedly exposed to extensive retaliation, punitive scheduling, verbal abuse, physical intimidation. Remember, there was a guy that was physically just knocking the hell out of people there, I guess. Childers grew so desperate that he resorted to crawling through a plant dumpster to search for documents. One fellow operator recalled Childers bursting into tears when asked if he needed help easing the retaliatory scheduling burden he'd been exposed to. As it turned out, the trainee had accidentally taken the paperwork home. Shortly thereafter, Childers experienced a headache while at work and died of a sudden aneurysm. Childers' colleagues felt strongly that his mistreatment may have played a role in his death. That or dumpster diving in a nuke plant. I mean, this place doesn't sound very safe. He could have breathed just the right stuff and done. Headache and an aneurysm. He could have had a brain tumor going already from a hot particle, and, that just did it. Pushed him over the edge. I wish I was done talking about dead people. This is where it starts getting really scary. Sometime around December 2008, Scott Fruin was Byron's shift operations supervisor, the operations department's second highest position, when a reactor operator with a history of nodding off on the job fell asleep in the plant's work control center. A handful of equipment operators called on Fruin to force the issue, and it was escalated to Exelon's corporate offices. Corporate sent representatives to conduct interviews at the plant. Exelon confirmed its legal department investigated an incident matching this description, but claimed the investigation was inconclusive and declined to provide details. So here's a shift manager, second highest. He knows he's got someone falling asleep. He goes to where he's supposed to the corporate. Sources claim Fruin was subsequently singled out for scapegoating. Fruin's boss, operations director Cheryl Gayhart, let's get this spelling right, Cheryl, Cheryl, Gayhart, Gayheart. And I'm sorry, but I think these are persuadums. I really do. Once you get that high up, you think you're using your real name? So Cheryl Gayhart, whose department was besieged by a litany of deteriorating performance indicators, appeared to escape any consequences related to the incident. A wide range of individuals who had worked with Gayhart identified her management style, which they allege was ineffective and retaliatory, as the cause of her department's deteriorating performance, and alleged that she had frequently targeted Fruin in order to protect herself. So here's a guy that's trying to do his job, trying to look out for people he works with. And, sometime after the incident, Fruin accepted a demotion. He probably said, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. I'm just speculating here because dead men tell no tales, now do they? Later in 2009, rumors began to circulate that Fruin had spoken with NRC officials about the sleeping operator. In the early hours of September 10th, he shot himself. He left a suicide note written on a notepad obtained in Lisle, Illinois, where the Midwestern NRC regional office is located, and where he'd been that day. At Fruin's funeral, Byron's plant manager, Brad Adams, along with Byron's human resources manager, aggressively questions Fruin's loved ones about whether he had made any mention of work-related matters in the days and weeks leading up to his death. That's a hit. That's a hit. Just saying. What's he doing with stationery from Lisle? Because I know when I'm going to kill myself, I grab the stationery of when I'm trying to make a report to somebody, and yeah. I mean, this is some scary stuff, and I know what goes on. And Illinois is rough. Illinois is rough. Right, kiddies? Yes. They're playing over there. Yeah. What am I doing on time here? This is just horrible. A high-ranking NRC source claims that the incident that led to Fruin's demotion was never referred for investigation within the agency. The source also insists that any possibility of a licensed reactor operator falling asleep at work should occasion such a referral. Furthermore, this investigation could locate no record that any NRC personnel reviewed the incident, despite the fact that NRC staff, including Bruce Bartlett, were aware of it, this Bruce Bartlett character. Okay. Additional record searches performed by Paul Gunter of Beyond Nuclear and Michael Keegan of Don't Waste Michigan also failed to locate relevant records. Contacted by the Japan Times, the NRC would neither confirm nor deny any information related to Fruin or to the incident for which he was allegedly scapegoated. Additionally, this investigation uncovered evidence that chronic staffing issues at the Work Control Center were ongoing. Work throughout the plant as assigned and monitored had contributed to major operating mistakes and safety problems for at least a decade, and that operators' repeated attempts to bring the issue to management's attention during that time frame had been ignored or met with hostility. When Fruin first learned about the operator falling asleep on the job, he pushed for the operator's termination. Today, that operator continues to work at Byron Station, running its nuclear reactors. It is the real Homer Simpson. We have Homer Simpson, and Byron looks like the Homer Simpson, like the Springfield one. We have Homer Simpson eating donuts over there. In March 2008, Larry Lawson was the NSO tasked with running a test of auxiliary feed water pump. It had been a victim of Byron's chronic maintenance problems for several years. It had a tendency to emit smoke, even catch fire. Worse, it was located in a room with a carbon dioxide fire suppression system, and to test it, someone would have to be sent into the room to observe it during testing. A lack of caution could get that person asphyxiated, you think? Despite having proclaimed no barbecues in the house. Despite having proclaimed his intent to err on the side of safety, Lawson found himself faced as the pump began spewing smoke, with a supervisor who refused to shut it down. The pump then burst into flames. Lawson's supervisor still wouldn't take it offline. Fed up, the other NSO on the unit turned the pump off. Dave Hoots, who had been monitoring the test via radio, you don't see him anywhere near the smoke-filled room, sprinted into the control room and began pressuring N. Bendis to find a way to pronounce the burning pump operable, lest its failure produce unflattering indicators. My God, arrest these people! This is going on right here outside Chicagoland. Wake up. All right, they got fires and they say, no, I'll get in trouble. Oh, there's a fire at the Sorry, I really am trying not to swear just to make this as professional as possible. I think I only said... Afterwards, Bendis hauled Lawson into a meeting wherein Stephen Kuczynski, then Exelon's senior vice president for Midwest operations, now the CEO of Southern Nuclear Operating Company, telephoned to berate a handful of employees. Did they realize how it made Kuczynski look when that pump was only operational X% of the time? Did Lawson understand what that did to Kuczynski's indicators? Lawson marveled at Kuczynski's indifference to how close they'd come to ending a man's life. And Kuczynski, who held a number of upper management positions at Byron before ascending into Exelon's corporate leadership, also happened to be the manager who operators felt had done more than anyone, both individually and on a policy level, to create the plant-wide repair morass Lawson had to contend with on a daily basis. I almost quit on that one, Lawson said of the feed water pump incident. Steve Kuczynski pulled that kind of stuff. He wasn't the only one. This investigation discovered that a handful of senior managers at Byron consistently compromised safety to expedite work. Fearing a possible indicator, Hoots once tried to send an operator into the plant's high-voltage switchyard during a severe lightning storm to make a minor repair. Are you kidding me? Kuczynski pressured employees into transporting irradiated equipment unsafely, of course. At least one critical safety system was modified without legally required NRC consent. Key monitoring responsibilities included airborne hydrogen levels and the use of primary water were neglected. In all these cases, plant personnel made attempts to warn management about the safety issues these lapses created and were largely ignored. If and when the lapses created incidents, the same managers often deflected blame by denying their actual involvement in related decision-making and by targeting lower-level employees for scapegoating. In more than one case, the scapegoating led to dismissal. At Byron, if you're protected, you're Teflon, one reactor operator said. If you're not protected, you're a sacrificial lamb. Management's cavalier attitude toward safety resulted in a 2007 incident in which an essential service water pipe blew open while it was being cleaned, prompting the shutdown of Byron's 2 reactors for 12 days. Later in 2011, a review of this shutdown caused prominent nuclear critic David Lochbaum to proclaim, "The only difference between Byron and Fukushima is luck. You hear that, Chicago? Is luck." Okay? I wasn't kidding when I said we had Fukushima. I didn't know we had Homer Simpson eating donuts and sleeping. As of March 2013, that guy's still there in the control room sleeping. All right? More than anyone else, blame for the incident lay with the plant's former engineering director, Brad Adams, who had coerced the engineer in charge of essential service water into changing the system's indicators from red to green, according to one Byron engineer with first-hand knowledge of the indicators, so that Adam could avoid allocating further resources to the system. Byron personnel were flabbergasted when Adams, who had been sent to another Exelon plant in the meantime, was brought back to Byron and promoted to plant manager shortly after the incident. So for him, turning off the red, no problem here, we're green, we're go. All right, he was rewarded. He was rewarded for this behavior. Chicago, we got Homer Simpson and Fukushima 2 over here. The NRC bungled its oversight of the service water issue so badly that the Inspector General official responsible for reviewing it went public in 2011, and Byron wound up in the New York Times. Bruce Bartlett escaped publicity by the narrowest margin. The whistleblower, whose report heaped blame on Bartlett, didn't give names for fear it would allow the NRC to reduce a systematic failure to an issue of personal misconduct. Neither did Adams have to face the music. Hoots came up with an alternative. Hoots, come on, Hootie the Owl here. And barely plausible, operators say. Explanation blaming first-line supervisors for not pressing upper management hard enough on maintenance issues. When this explanation was floated at the Nuclear Safety Review Board meeting following the incident, with much of Exelon's top brass in attendance, Barry Quigley vigorously attacked its credibility, thereby embroiling himself in an extended public debate with one of Exelon's top executives. Plant personnel were shocked when Hoot's explanation was adopted by INPO in their 2008 report, which again awarded Byron the industry's highest safety rating. You see all this is going on while you have Fukushima 2 here? It's the buddy system. They're just pulling each other up the ladder. You know, you made the thing go from red to green. You moved it with your hand. Good job. You're the manager. The lack of regard for safety also affected working conditions for reactor operators. Several patterns of illnesses arose. At one time, 3 NSOs, all of whom had worked on the same shift, were diagnosed with sarcoidosis, an inflammatory disease whose causes are still not clearly understood. The 3rd operator to be afflicted was nearly crippled. This is going to be 5 videos. We're at 14:09. This next paragraph's long, and I don't want to push my luck because I don't like trimming these videos. It affects the sound quality. Wow. I didn't read ahead at that time. It's getting from bad to worse to ugly. What's going on there now? Thank God I don't have to drive out there unless I want to. And you know I'll make sure the wind's blowing the hell away from me. And I might stop in Rochelle for a burger, set the little Geiger counter out, and then just drive the hell back. Because I'm saying by Rochelle it's not safe. And I'll prove it.